Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options all within my budget.
That's cool, but financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members save even more with limited-time doorbuster deals. Save $5 on 24-count Contractor's Choice 42-gallon trash bags, now just $14.78. Plus, get your choice select DeWalt Elite Series saw blades for $9.98. Not a Pro Rewards member? Join for free today at Lowe's. Valid through 9/17. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowes.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Welcome to the Shabby Detective, yet another Columbo podcast. I'm your host, Mike White, and joining me, of course, is Mr. Chris Stashew.
Wish I could do a Jeanette Nolan impersonation, but Mike, I don't want to scream at you for the next 45 minutes.
Out!
That scene alone was just, wow. We're going in a weird direction on this episode of Columbo, folks.
We are talking about the last episode of season 2 called Double Shock. Was released March 25th, 1973, a blissful 70-minute episode, not stretching anything out to 2 hours on this one. We're talking about Martin Landau, not once, but twice the Landau, playing both Dexter and Norman Paris, a pair of potential murderers of their uncle. Yes, we've got murder within the family again. And we even have 2 deaths, but we'll talk about that as we break down the plot of A Double Shock. But first, Chris, what did you think of this episode?
So is this now the second episode in our burgeoning Coleman cast? Because Big Dabney's in this episode.
Damn straight. Doesn't even look like him.
No, I saw him. Then I went and did research, and it was like Dabney Coleman was in this episode. I was like, where was Dabney Coleman?
You can hear the voice, but you can't see the face.
That is all it was the voice, 100%. I think this episode is okay. I think that the gimmick of Martin Landau playing 2 people carries the episode probably further than it would have if it hadn't had that gimmick. Because I think outside of the Martin Landau dual role, it feels rather pedestrian in a way that the Roddy McDowell episode did, where it's just like the stakes are rather small. And I know that this is trying to introduce like a genuine whodunit element. Like we actually don't know who did it in this episode because there are 2 of them. That reveal is nice, but that singular reveal cannot completely carry the episode. Thankfully, they cast Martin Landau. But this episode, I would not put it in the top of season 2. I wouldn't put it at the bottom either. Probably middle of the road.
No, there are scenes in here that elevate this episode for me. One scene in particular, and I'm sure you know exactly which scene I'm talking about. But otherwise, yeah, it is interesting that they don't show us all of the murder, so we're not doing a real How Ketchum, that it's a little bit of a whodunit mixed with the How Ketchum, because we know for sure one of those Martin Landau's has something to do with this, but which one and how is this involved? And yeah, why are they even killing this uncle character? Is it just to stop him from marrying Julie Newmar and giving all of his money to her? The one person that I didn't mention is Tim O'Connor, who plays the family lawyer. And that's kind of a nice twist when you find out that he is very crooked. Well, he's a lawyer, so I shouldn't be too surprised. But I thought that was kind of nice that he's in here and starts to try to partner up with the Paris brothers, but instead ends up getting set up in a pretty great way.
I was disappointed that they didn't actually conclude that story.
Yeah.
That feels like yes, it's 70 minutes, but they left that part hanging. I get that part really doesn't have any bearing on the story, but it kind of does because they totally framed him and they totally killed Julie Newmar to frame him. So there is like some story significance, but that was a weird beat that they didn't resolve, which again, they're not obligated to resolve it because it doesn't really factor into the final plot and the way that it's discovered how things happen. But I do wish that they had resolved that because Tim O'Connor's pretty good. I mean, Julie Newmar is given very little to do, unfortunately, other than look pretty and be alluring to Columbo is what it feels like. But it's unfortunate because she does kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Yeah. Which is a real shame because I like her as an actress a lot. And I was very disappointed. And the whole thing of her doing yoga and stuff. And of course, she's Julie Newmar, so hubba hubba. But I was really hoping for more of her presence in this episode. I really wanted her to be right there, maybe at Columbo's side the whole time.
Instead, we get Jeanette Nolan.
Oh, yeah.
It's just...
a little goes a long way.
Yeah, and you're meant to love the character of Columbo. Columbo is our guy in Los Angeles. He is the character that you're here to see. Unlike Barney Miller, where it's a bit of the character actors and a bit of the precinct, here a lot of it is the Peter Falk performance. And he is the man who carries the show, and he is the man who makes the magic happen with everybody else. There is no amount of magic that Peter Falk could pull out of his ass to save those interactions with Jeanette Nolan, because she's so abrasive towards him. You can't help but just want those scenes to be over. And then they start to get even more bizarre and abrasive to the point where like that scene where he breaks the TV by accident is really a little too much.
It's at least one too much, if not two too much.
And like the scene with the TV is like, that's enough for two. Her reaction is just unrealistic is not a strong enough word, like, or a strong enough phrase. She's just freaking out. Like they were like, and I don't like this term and we shouldn't use this term, but they're writing her very histrionically. Like that's what it is. And that's why it's just like kind of an affront. Cause like, no, even someone who is as tight-assed as she is as this housekeeper, she wouldn't like, I don't think like she would be like treating a cop that way.
Well, the real shame of it is that when they were filming those scenes, Falk and Nolan were having a great time. He was just like, you go nuts and I will react to it, basically. And he loved it and she loved it. But we as the audience are just like, okay, yeah, a little too much. Don't really need all this. I understand that Columbo is a slob, but, like you should be really much more concerned about the uncle that passed away, and you should be trying to helping out Columbo. Like here I am, I just like Julie Newmar should be helping out. Mrs. Peck should be helping out. It's just like, come on, like they should be more concerned about this murder than they are, and they should be more concerned even than Columbo is.
It's kind of weird. This is one of the few, if not the first episode where the person who dies, the uncle Clifford, I'm not sure anybody cares that he's dead.
And Julie Newmar should be, because she was going to marry him.
Jeanette Nolan should be as well, because she's his housekeeper who supposedly protects his house and makes sure people don't fuck it up and and worked for him for 30 years, like all of that. And yet she's just like, fuck you, Columbo. Your boss got fucking murdered in your house. Like, I mean, again, I do like that. The dies on the exercise bike. I appreciated that little touch. But like, even if it's just that, you would still be very upset that he just passed away.
It is very odd. This episode reminds me of another episode that we'll get to later on where there are two servants. I mean, so many of these episodes that we watch have servants in them. I mean, even thinking of the guy that got ganked in the British episode,
Right.
Wilfred Hyde White. I mean, get in there.
Maybe the best singular moment this season, frankly.
Yeah. But this scene of one of the Paris brothers calling Columbo up, because again, they don't really play this up very much at all. Like, they've got the whole thing with the mixers, and that's the murder weapon. Okay, that's fine. It reminds me a little bit of like Ross from Suitable for Framing, where he's the TV art critic, but he's an art critic the whole way through. So like, it really should be one of the Paris brothers, like, I'm a chef, and just like really talking up food and, you know, having a whole lot more to do with food, because when the cooking scene comes up of him on his cooking show, I'm like, oh, he's on a cooking show? I didn't really get that. And I've seen this episode like 100 times or something. So I'm just like, I should know much more that he's a TV chef.
Well, Etude in Black did it better.
You're right.
The best scene in this episode is the scene that they didn't just lean on super hard. Like you said, why didn't they make that his thing? Because they haven't had that yet. I'm assuming that will come back. There will be a chef thing at some point in the show. It feels like that would be, especially in the 80s with Columbo. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Wolfgang Puck showed up in this show. Okay. You're laughing because maybe that does happen or not. Like, it would make sense given the high society of the mid 80s when the show eventually comes back, especially in Los Angeles, where Spago and all those Wolfgang Puck restaurants were the toast of the fucking town. So yeah, it's weird because Martin Landau is the best in that episode segment. That scene is the best that he is in the entire episode. And that might be one of the best scenes in this show.
Is there a gentleman in the audience who would like to volunteer and come up here? Help me demonstrate? How about you, sir? How about you? I'll tell you what we're going to do. Now, I'd like you to separate the yolks from the whites of the eggs and put them in the blender. All right? Now, while you're doing that, I'm going to take this half cup of butter. Lieutenant, I'll take this half cup of butter and I will heat it in this frying pan. Now, you think you can do that?
I don't know. I'll try.
All right. Get cracking.
Is that my camera?
You're on television.
I've seen that still of him and Columbo, like Peter Falk and Martin Landau together all over the place. So I know that this scene is important to the show overall.
Falk is having the time of his life, and it feels like him and Landau are just two actors enjoying themselves. I love it. It's so delightful. I mean, you take that and compare it to the Mrs. Peck stuff, and you're just like, oh, fuck me. Like, them ad-libbing and them doing their thing, get me out of here. But Landau and Falk going at it, making whatever they're making on this TV show, I love it. Please, give me more of that.
I know that Vincent Price shows up in the next episode, but I was wondering, like, if this was what they were getting at, because I know Vincent Price was like a gourmand. And I was wondering, like, if this was what they were kind of like angling the Martin Landau character towards, is like these like celebrity chefs, quote unquote, like celebrities who are chefs, but I guess he's just a chef, I guess. Can we talk about this man's jackets for a moment? Oh my, holy shit, man. This show has never looked more 70s than in this episode. Martin Landau's outfits as the cooking, the chef brother, holy moly. That red jacket that he has, I need to find me one of those. You know, that whole getup, I'm game. Or even the jacket that he wears on the cooking show. I mean, that is a look.
It's a bad outfit.
That fucking wide ass collar spread about his, like, he just tear that thing open. But I honestly love Peter Falk taking the egg yolks and just like, I don't know. Because Columbo loves cooking, right? Like, that's a thing. And like, it's just funny because like, he just seems so harried, but the way that only Peter Falk can do it. And I guess they're making hollandaise sauce?
Yes, so it's just egg whites. There's
hollandaise is egg yolks, and actually technically hollandaise is just egg yolks and then I guess like Dijon mustard and an oil of some kind to make a emulsification. you put the eggs in and you start blending it and then you pour the olive oil in. Then he pours it over asparagus, but it's like a fucking sauce. It's like a wet sauce. Like it's like a watery sauce, which is like, is this guy supposed to be a good chef? Or like, that's what I also didn't understand. Like, is he supposed to be a good cook? Because it doesn't strike me as, unless it's just like Columbo's just a ding dong. but that is without a doubt the best scene in this episode, and I think the best scene this season.
It's really good. Yeah, it's a total classic. It really does stand up there. And yeah, like you're going to see, there's the Columbo cookbook that's out there. And yes, Columbo and food is definitely a thing. I don't think that we're going to get very much of Mr. Price in that next episode, but and actually probably on the next episode, we're going to talk about a woman under the influence, really take a break here between the seasons, just like Peter Falk did, and talk about that one. But I don't even think we get that much of Vincent Price in that episode.
That's just what I thought, because I know that was a thing that he did and he was kind of like known for it. But the character of Dexter Paris is a weird character because he seems rather undefined.
Well, and his brother seems a little undefined as well, which is a real shame because I like the idea of Martin Landau playing twins. I don't know if this is kind of a nod to his Mission Impossible days, Master of Disguise, where he's able to play two roles, and he acts against himself very well. I was obviously paying a lot of attention to that, especially when they're doing the split screen. And I'm just like, okay, how is the response time? How is this working out? Are they cutting in order to make those responses a little bit faster and all that? But I thought he did a great job acting against himself, but I just wish there was more of both of the brothers. So you really, obviously he plays them in such a distinct way that you can tell one brother from the other without even looking at the jackets. But I just wanted more. I wanted more of the one being so full of himself and the other one being, it's basically like the ant and the grasshopper. I wanted both ant and grasshopper. I wanted to know more about these guys.
Well, and it feels like because they decided to introduce a genuine whodunit element that they forgot what show this is. Like, this is Columbo, where we know more about the villains than we ever know about Columbo. That is the point. That is what this Columbo is the villain of Columbo because Columbo is not really about him. It's about all these other people that he just keeps having to set straight and put in line by sending him to prison for often murdering people. The idea that in this episode they were like, well, we wanted to have this weird, we don't actually want you to know who did it element. It feels kind of gimmicky because it kind of, in a lot of ways, it betrays the show's formula, which there is something to be said for making a show and then subverting your expectations from time to time. But it only works if you do it well. And Martin Landau is good, but because we don't get to see more of him doing his thing, it feels more like a Columbo episode than any of the show really ever has. Like, we follow him so much. He is ever present, which is fine because it's Peter Falk and we love Peter Falk, but I did want more Martin Landau for sure.
I could have even gone for either one of those brothers chewing up the scenery some more. Just really give it to me. I'm here for you, Martin. Do your thing.
Well, I think it's also a little unfortunate that the conclusion, the final twist is just, well, it was both of them.
Right.
I don't know what that reveal is meant to elicit from the audience because I didn't elicit what I feel like they wanted, which was, whoa, no way. Like, it kind of only made sense that it was going to be the two of them from essentially the moment it happened. It's because they don't show the person who turns off the electricity.
Yeah, because it's a gloved hand that does it. And you're like, okay.
But then they show Martin Landau go and throw the electric mixer into the bath, which that scene is fantastic. I forgot your gift. I don't really like kitchen appliances. So you're about to. I enjoyed all of that because, again, like, that's the stuff I expect from this show is the mugging from the quote, the antagonist of the piece. But I missed, there was just not enough of it here, unfortunately, because they didn't want to let out of the bag that it was both of them, even though it's like, I don't think that was really that big of a secret.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, how much did you know about this episode before you went into it?
Nothing.
and you pretty much figured it out before.
I was just like, it's got to be both of them. There's no other explanation. The way that they have the Dexter, the cooking brother, the chef brother, the way that he interacts with Columbo, it's like they give it away. It's like it's not meant to be a twist. It's just the moment you meet him and the way he acts kind of strange. And he's like, it feels like he's putting Columbo on constantly. And like that would lead me to believe, because I've seen this show before, that he's hiding something. I don't even really know when in this episode Columbo realizes they're the killers. There's not like a distinct moment, I feel like, unless is it the TV? Is it when he realizes that it's the thing with the TV? Is that what it is?
I think it might be. And that's pretty funny. We haven't really mentioned that. Get to see a young Mark Singer on that TV years before Beastmaster.
I really like that too. And she goes, "No, you're purple."
Right.
The times when Jeanette Nolan is not screaming at Peter Falk, she's fine. But it's all the other thing. We mentioned Julie Newmar a little bit. Like, I like that this is one of those, secondary murder episodes. We haven't had one of those in a while. Like, not since The Greenhouse, right? Or no, I guess it would be A Stitch in Crime. It's that one dude bites it because he gets OD'd by Leonard Nimoy. Jared Martin is not the guy from Framing. Jared Martin is the dude who was in that episode, who plays the recovering drug addict who plays the guy with the mask in that Twilight Zone episode.
Right, but I was saying Ross Martin.
Ross Martin. Ross Martin is the guy. Yeah.
Now we got it. We got all
now
these guys straight.
we're there. That was the last time that they did that. I like when they do that. It amps up the stakes. It gives the plot a little bit more kind of a urgency to it. Cause like the antagonists are not resting on their laurels here. They're feeling the pressure too. And I like when Columbo is amping up the pressure from one direction and they're kind of meeting it in the middle with their own kind of machinations. I like that a lot. Because you really get to see the depths of depravity that these characters will go to secure whatever financial, late stage capitalist goal that they have.
It's interesting that it's a rich person that gets murdered here, but you actually do want the murderers caught.
Right. Well, and that is the thing. You kind of always want the murderers caught, I guess. Right. But like ultimately, like it is just like rich people killing rich people. We'll float this, and I think maybe it may cause some people to bristle, but feel like if you leaned on that with Columbo, you could remake Columbo in an interesting way where it's not just subtext that's going on. I mean, again, like classism right now is a real big thing, and especially like inequality in economic classism like that. And that's what this show is ultimately about, is really about rich people, the haves and the have-nots, the haves killing the haves, and the nots having to clean up the messes of the haves. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, the shabby detective, right? I mean, that's what Jeanette Nolan is so angry at Columbo. You can see what the subtext is. Yes, he's a schlub and a dirty guy, but he doesn't belong there because he's not rich. And like, that's really what's going on here. And that's ultimately where a lot of the anger comes from in Columbo, is these are rich people who don't like having their bullshit plans being put out in the open by this schlubby looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think of Columbo often when we talk about the justice system in our country, because Columbo is a good representation of a positive police force presence, because Columbo, I think, genuinely cares. And kind of like Barney Miller, like I wish that there were more of those kinds of those cop characters on TV, because it is a positive thing to see a well-defined police officer who genuinely gives a shit about people, even if he cannot empathize with them at all, because he can't. And they treat him like garbage constantly, and yet he is always on their side, which I think says a lot about the Columbo character ultimately, and the humanity that Peter Falk, I think, really... I mean, Peter Falk is so fucking good in this show. They're not a surprise, like, obviously. But, like, he keeps getting better. The show maybe doesn't rise to his level all the time, but he is so good.
The moment of this episode that I like so much is him being his character, Martin Landau being his character, and those two actors just having a blast.
Just tit for tatting one another in that scene. It's... this episode may not be my favorite of the season, but that moment stands out as like a genuinely fantastic moment for the show so far. It's not the way I wish the second season ended. I kind of wish this and Most Dangerous Match were switched, because I think Most Dangerous Match is a stronger episode to go out on your season on, or even a Stitch and Crime, frankly. Because I think for me, that is probably my favorite episode this season, is a Stitch and Crime.
This has been a pretty uneven season. I mean, Etude in Black, I think I like that one more than you do, but I will admit it's not like the best episode in the world. Greenhouse Jungle was a real dud.
A mess.
Most Crucial Game. I mean, it's great seeing Culp, but just, wasn't there. Dagger of the Mind. Again, like, I like parts of it, but not all of it.
It has a really contrived twist at the end.
Yeah. Requiem for a Falling Star. I do remember saying I like this one and a lot more than I had remembered liking it. So I'll definitely give that a pass. Then you get that 1-2 punch of a Stitch and Crime in the Most Dangerous Match. That's where it's at. Like, that's the season has reached the mountain and we're at the top. We're at the pinnacle. And unfortunately, you've got one more episode to go and they give us Double Shock.
And you just stumble down the other side of Mount Everest and end up in a gully where you freeze to death and they find you 30 years later. I mean, it's that much of an affront, but it is definitely on the downward side of the peak, because the Most Dangerous Match is Stitch and Crime are just the actors that he is up against in those two episodes. Like, come on, like that's, and look, Etude in Black, you're right. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it's John Cassavetes. So at least there is that. And that's the thing. I mean, John Cassavetes, Leonard Nimoy, and like Lawrence Harvey, those are the three biggest names this season anyways, right? Like without even comparison. And I guess Martin Landau too. It's just, I kind of wish Martin Landau had just been in another episode, really. Like, just not this one. I get that the gimmick is there for a reason, but the rest of the episode doesn't rise to the gimmick. That I think when you see what they're getting at initially, I do think it's kind of interesting where it's like, oh, okay, there are two of them, but it just never gets back to that moment where Martin Landau walks in twice, essentially. It never comes back to that moment. And if it had, it probably would have been the 1-2-3 punch to lead us out from the season, but it does kind of just falters just a little bit right at the end, which is unfortunate.
So, like I said earlier, we are going to come back next month with a little bit something different. We're going to be looking at Peter Falk in A Woman Under the Influence, and this might be one of the few Cassavetes films I've ever seen. So I'm excited and scared all at the same time.
I am excited because this, for me, is the thing that we bring to this kind of podcast, which is we don't just watch the show. We watch, like when we started this show, we watched, Crime and Punishment and other ephemera, related and assorted ephemera. And I'm excited to watch a Peter Falk thing that isn't Columbo because, yeah, he's really good. I mean, he's, he was good in Robin and the Seven Hoods. And there's a movie we're going to talk about later in the show, much later in the show, that people will probably be surprised that we're actually going to give it a fair shake. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a Peter Falk movie from way later in his career that you and I really like, and he's really good in it. And that's just a testament to him as an actor being kind of, for good and for bad, clearly, in a lot of ways. He is who he was, but that was not, in terms of the work that he made and gave to us, was not a bad thing. He was kind of an actor with a capital A. But you know what they say, if you're not an actor with a capital A, you don't get paid very much. So, and that's the thing. Peter Falk knew his value, which, that, as an actor, when you're the lead in Columbo, you do get to dictate things.
So before we come back next month to talk about A Woman Under the Influence, Chris, what are you working on these days, sir?
Spodcasting at weirdingwaymedia.com, where you and I do this show, Barney Miller, Dreams for Sale, Midnight Viewing with Father Malone, and all kinds of other stuff that you and I work on together and then I work on by myself. You can find it all at weirdingwaymedia.com. What about you, Mike?
Well, pretty much the same thing. I have a bunch of shows over at weirdingwaymedia.com as well. One in particular called The Projection Booth I do every week, where we talk about different movies and try to do a little bit of a deep dive in there. We laugh at our own jokes quite a bit, get off topic all the time, and just kind of ramble on. Hey, Chris, what did you watch this week? Oh, hey, I watched this. And we just talk about that for 45 minutes. Then we talk about the movie for 5, and then we wrap up.
Did you change how your show operates in the last week?
I looked at how other people were doing it and decided to do it the same way. So, big changes.
I get it. You want to be a show that people shouldn't be listening to, but yet do anyways. Gotcha. Okay. As opposed to the shows that people need to be listening to because they are deep dives into movies that people aren't talking about. Cough, cough, the projection booth. Cough, cough.
What I really want is to get on the top lists of the best podcasts of 2023. So I figured let's do what everybody else is doing.
You rip on movies now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're just going to change the name of the projection booth to I Rip on Movies now?
Yes. I'm working on the logo right now.
Yeah, fucking do it.
I want to thank John Walker for our intro theme, and I want to thank Colin Gallagher for our outro theme. And I want to thank you, the listener, for listening to us talk about Columbo. Please look where you downloaded the show. See if you can leave a rating for us. That would be fantastic if you could. And until next month, thanks for checking out The Shabby Detective.
Weight loss solutions are not one size fits all. Hers makes it simpler to get started and stick with a weight loss plan backed by expert-guided online care that puts your weight loss goals first. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full upfront. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.